I'm in the basement, laying down carpet for a recreation room I promised my teenage daughter, Emma. The work helps me focus, keeps my mind off Jessica, my wife of 16 years. She's supposed to be visiting her sister in Chicago for 2 weeks, but things between us haven't been right for a long time. As I carry down another box from the bedroom to the storage space under the stairs, I misstep. The box slips from my grasp, hitting the floor hard and spilling its contents. My heart races, not because of the fall, but because something unusual catches my eye. A neatly tied bundle of letters, bound with a crimson ribbon. They seem out of place, almost ceremonial. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I pull them free from the clutter. The first envelope feels heavy, almost ominous, in my hands. It's addressed to Jessica, my darling, and my breath catches. My chest tightens as I open it and scan the words inside. Last night was unforgettable. It begins. I can't stop thinking about you. Leave him and be with me. I drop the letter, my hands trembling. Jessica has always been distant, but an affair? The realization hits like a freight train. My heart pounds, anger bubbling just beneath the surface. These aren't just letters. They're evidence of betrayal. Evidence that the life I've been holding together for Emma's sake has been a lie. My head spins. I grab the entire bundle, suddenly desperate to know more. Each letter peels back another layer of deception, exposing a relationship that's been ongoing for over a year. She wasn't just visiting her sister. She was with this man, Oliver. The sound of the front door startles me. It's not Jessica, of course, but Emma coming home from her friend's place. I hastily stash the letters and head upstairs, my face a mask of forced calm. For now, the storm of anger and confusion brewing inside me must wait. "Hey, Dad," Emma says, dropping her backpack by the door. Her smile is the only thing that feels real in this moment. "Hey, sweetheart," I reply, my voice steadier than I expected. "How was the sleepover?" As she talks, I nod along, barely hearing her. My mind races, plotting my next move. Jessica is coming home in a few days, and when she does, this charade will end. I'll make sure of it. After Emma goes upstairs, the house falls silent. I sit at the kitchen table, the bundle of letters in front of me. My hands tremble as I flip through them again, each one laced with the kind of passion and longing I haven't felt from Jessica in years. Oliver, the man she's been meeting, isn't just some fling. He's her escape, her fantasy. And all this time, I've been the fool keeping everything afloat, believing we were just going through a rough patch. I take a deep breath and force myself to think clearly. Rage won't solve this. I can't confront Jessica without proof. My mind turns to my legal expertise. Evidence is key. If this is going to end, it's going to end on my terms. The next morning, while Emma is at school, I make a call. "Rick, it's Tom," I say, my voice low. Rick is an old friend, a private investigator I've worked with in the past. He owes me a favor. "What's up, man?" Rick asks. "Everything okay?" "Not even close," I reply. "I need you to look into someone for me. My wife." The words taste bitter as they leave my mouth, but there's no turning back now. Rick pauses, and when he speaks again, his tone is serious. "You sure about this?" "I found letters," I say, gripping the phone tightly. "She's been seeing a guy named Oliver Grant. He lives in Chicago. I need you to confirm it. Pictures, dates, anything you can get." "Consider it done," Rick says without hesitation. "I'll start today." As I hang up, a twisted sense of relief washes over me. This is the first step toward reclaiming my life. But the anger still simmers. Jessica betrayed me, but Oliver? He's going to pay too. I know his type. Selfish, entitled, and completely oblivious to the lives they ruin. The rest of the day feels surreal. Every glance at the phone sends my heart racing, wondering if Rick will call with news. Emma notices my distraction, but doesn't press. She's used to tension in the house, though I've tried my best to shield her from it. Later that evening, as I sit in the living room pretending to watch TV, my phone buzzes. It's a message from Rick. "Got some preliminary info. Call me when you can." I step outside, the cool night air doing little to calm my nerves. Rick answers on the first ring. "Tom, you were right. Jessica's been meeting this guy regularly when she's in Chicago. I've got pictures of them together, timestamps, and even some hotel bookings. I'll email you everything. Thanks, Rick, I say, my voice tight. Send it all. As I return inside, the weight of the betrayal settles on my chest. This isn't just a broken promise. It's a deliberate, calculated affair, and Jessica thought I'd never find out. I pour myself a drink and sit back down. The letters, the photos, the hotel records, they're all pieces of a puzzle I never wanted to solve. But now that I have, there's no turning back. Jessica comes home in 3 days. And when she does, she'll find out what happens when you betray someone who knows how to fight back. The next morning, I sit at the dining table, Rick's email open on my laptop. The photos hit like a gut punch. Jessica and Oliver walking hand in hand, their smiles unguarded. A timestamp confirms it was during her last trip. Another photo shows them leaving a hotel together. My fists clench involuntarily, but I force myself to stay calm. The evidence is solid, undeniable. I scroll through more details Rick provided. Oliver Grant, 46, married with 2 kids. A small construction business owner, seemingly well off. The audacity of it all, destroying not just my family but risking his own. I forward the email to a secure account and close the laptop. The game has changed. This isn't just about confronting Jessica. It's about taking control of the narrative. If she wants to play dirty, she'll find out I'm better at it. Emma enters the room, and I quickly shift gears. Morning, sweetheart. You sleep well? She nods, grabbing a bowl of cereal. You okay, Dad? You've been quiet. Just work stuff, I lie, offering her a reassuring smile. Nothing for you to worry about. But as she eats, I can't stop thinking about her. She deserves better than this mess. I've been trying to shield her from Jessica's distance and my own mounting frustration, but there's no hiding this. Soon, she'll know everything, and I have to prepare her for what's coming. Once Emma leaves for school, I call Rick again. I need one more thing, I say. Oliver's wife, does she know? No, Rick replies. But I can arrange for her to find out, if that's what you want. It's tempting, but I hesitate. Oliver's wife doesn't deserve to be blindsided. Still, the idea of exposing him, making him face consequences, burns in my mind. Not yet, I decide. Let's handle this step by step. The rest of the day is a blur of preparation. I collect all the documents, emails, letters, photos, and store them in a secure folder. I draft a detailed list of questions for Jessica, points I'll confront her with when she gets back. This won't be a screaming match. It'll be a calculated, surgical takedown. By the time evening rolls around, I feel ready. Almost. There's still a storm of emotions brewing inside me, but I've always been good at compartmentalizing. Right now, I need to focus on what's next. Jessica calls that night, her tone casual, almost cheerful. How's Emma? Everything okay? She's good, I reply evenly. Enjoying her sleepovers and time with friends. That's great, she says, her voice light. I miss you guys. The nerve of her. My grip tightens on the phone, but I keep my tone neutral. We miss you too. When are you heading back? Still planning for Friday, she says. Should I pick up anything on the way home? No, I say flatly. Just come back safe. As I hang up, my hands shake. The pretense is suffocating, but I need her to think everything's fine. She has no idea what's waiting for her. That night, I sit in the darkened living room, staring out the window. The quiet is oppressive, my thoughts racing. By this time next week, everything will be different. I've always believed in fairness, in playing by the rules, but Jessica and Oliver broke those rules. Now, it's my turn to set the terms. Friday can't come soon enough. Friday arrives, and the hours feel like molasses, dragging on as I prepare for Jessica's return. Every detail of the confrontation runs through my mind like a script. I rehearse the questions I'll ask, the evidence I'll lay out, and the cold composure I need to maintain. This won't be about shouting or theatrics. I want her to feel the weight of every lie, every betrayal, in the silence between my words. Emma is at school, and I take the opportunity to go through the house one more time, clearing any signs of my discoveries. The letters are locked away in my office, and Rick's reports are encrypted on my laptop. Jessica will see everything when I'm ready, not before. At exactly 5:30 p.m., I hear the sound of a car pulling into the driveway. My heart pounds, but I keep my face calm as the door opens. Jessica steps inside, her suitcase in one hand and a smile on her face. She looks surprised to see me waiting for her in the living room. "Hey," she says, setting her bag down. "You're home early." "I thought I'd be here to welcome you back," I reply, my voice even. She hesitates, her eyes scanning my face. "Is something wrong?" I shake my head, forcing a smile. "No, just wanted to talk when you're settled." "How was the trip?" "It was fine," she says, a little too quickly. "Nice to catch up with my sister." She moves past me, heading toward the stairs. I watch her, every step feeling like an eternity. This is the woman I've shared my life with, raised a child with, but now all I see is a stranger. After dinner, when Emma is in her room, I finally make my move. Jessica is sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. I take a seat across from her, and for a moment, we sit in silence. "Jessica," I say, my voice firm but calm. "We need to talk." She looks up, startled by my tone. "Okay. About what?" I pull out my phone and open one of Rick's photos. It's a shot of her and Oliver leaving the hotel together. I slide the phone across the table toward her. Her face drains of color as she picks it up. What is this?" she stammers. "You tell me," I reply, leaning back in my chair. "Who's Oliver, and why have you been sneaking off with him during your sister visits?" Her hands tremble as she sets the phone down. "It's not what it looks like," she begins, but I cut her off. "Don't insult me," I say, my voice sharper now. "I've got letters, photos, hotel receipts. I know everything, Jessica. The lies, the betrayal. So, spare me the excuses." She looks away, her eyes welling with tears. I don't know what to say. "Then don't say anything," I snap. "Because honestly, I don't care about your excuses. What I care about is how we move forward. You've broken every promise you made to me, and now you're going to face the consequences." The room feels heavy with tension as she wipes her tears, her composure crumbling. "Tom, no," I say, standing up. "You don't get to cry and play the victim. Not after what you've done. I'm giving you the weekend to pack your things. On Monday, we're filing for divorce." Her mouth falls open, but no words come out. For the first time in years, I see her truly speechless. It's a small victory, but it doesn't feel like enough. I walk out of the room, leaving her alone with her guilt. Upstairs, I sit on the edge of my bed, trying to process what just happened. The confrontation is over, but the war is just beginning. The next morning, the house is eerily quiet. I'm up early, sipping coffee at the kitchen table, when Emma joins me. She notices the tension immediately. "Is Mom back?" she asks, her voice cautious. "Yes," I reply, not meeting her eyes. "We talked last night." Her brow furrows, and she takes a seat across from me. "What's going on, Dad?" I hesitate. Emma's just a kid, but she's also sharp, and I've always prided myself on being honest with her. "Still, how do you tell your daughter that her mother has been lying to both of you?" "There's something you need to know," I begin, my voice steady. "Your mom, she's been seeing someone else." Emma's eyes widen, her expression a mix of shock and disbelief. "What do you mean? Like, cheating?" "Yes," I say, the word feeling like a knife in my chest. "I found out a few days ago, and I confronted her about it last night. We're going to separate." Emma sits back, her arms crossed, clearly trying to process this. Did she admit it? "She didn't deny it," I say, my tone grim. "And I have proof." Emma looks down, her fingers tapping nervously on the table. "So, what happens now?" "I've given her the weekend to figure out her next steps," I reply. "We'll file for divorce next week." For a moment, neither of us speaks. Then, Emma leans forward, her voice firm. "I want to stay with you." Her words catch me off guard, but I manage a nod. "We'll figure it out, sweetheart. I promise." The sound of footsteps interrupts us, and Jessica enters the kitchen. Her eyes are puffy, her movements hesitant. She stops short when she sees us, clearly uncomfortable. "Good morning," she says quietly. Emma doesn't respond. She stands, grabs her backpack, and leaves for school without another word. The silence that follows is deafening. Jessica sits down across from me, her eyes fixed on her hands. Tom, we need to talk. I sigh, leaning back in my chair. About what, Jessica? You've made your choices. She flinches but presses on. I want to explain. I know I've hurt you, but it wasn't. Stop, I cut her off. This isn't about justifying what you did. You betrayed me. You betrayed our family. There's nothing you can say to make that better. Her eyes well up, and she bites her lip, trying to hold back tears. I know I screwed up, but I love you. I love Emma. I don't want to lose our family. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. You should have thought about that before sneaking around with Oliver. Her head snaps up, and for a moment, I see anger flash in her eyes. He doesn't mean anything to me, she says, her voice rising. It was a mistake, okay? A stupid mistake. Mistake? I echo, leaning forward. A year-long mistake, Jessica? Letters, hotel stays, lies? Don't insult me. She shrinks back, her tears now flowing freely. Please, Tom, let's work through this. For Emma's sake. Emma already knows, I say coldly. She made her choice. She wants to stay with me. Jessica's face crumbles at this, and for a brief moment, I feel a pang of guilt. But it's fleeting. She brought this on herself. I'll give you until Monday, I say, standing up. Figure out where you're going. But make no mistake, this marriage is over. I leave the room, her quiet sobs following me as I head upstairs. The anger inside me burns brighter than ever, but there's no satisfaction in it. Just a hollow ache where love used to be. The weekend drags on, tension permeating every corner of the house. Jessica spends most of her time in the bedroom, her movements quiet and subdued. Emma avoids her entirely, retreating to her room or spending time out with friends. I focus on preparing for what comes next. Sunday evening, just as I'm reviewing the files Rick sent, my phone buzzes. It's a call from Rick himself. Tom, got an update for you, he says, his voice low and serious. Oliver's wife knows. I sit up straight, my heart pounding. How? She saw the photos, Rick replies. Apparently someone, he pauses for effect, left them in an unmarked envelope on her doorstep. She's furious and already contacted a divorce attorney. I exhale slowly, a small smirk tugging at the corners of my mouth. Good. He deserves it. There's more, Rick continues. She's threatening to go public with everything if he doesn't cooperate. Oliver's scrambling to do damage control, but it's not looking good for him. The thought of Oliver squirming under the weight of his own deceit brings a grim sense of satisfaction. But this isn't over. Not yet. Thanks, Rick, I say. Keep me posted. I hang up and lean back in my chair, the gears in my mind turning. If Oliver's life is unraveling, it's only fair that Jessica faces her own reckoning. The thought fills me with renewed determination. The next morning, I wake early, ready to confront Jessica one last time. I knock on the bedroom door and step inside. She's sitting on the edge of the bed, her suitcase half packed, her face pale and drawn. We need to talk, I say firmly. She looks up, her expression wary. What now, Tom? I toss a folder onto the bed beside her. Everything you need to know about Oliver, I say. His wife, his kids, his lies. She picks up the folder with trembling hands, flipping through its contents. Her eyes widen as she reads, her face contorting with shock and disbelief. This can't be true, she whispers. He told me he was miserable, that his marriage was over. And you believed him, I say, my tone sharp. Just like you believed he'd leave his wife for you. Newsflash, Jessica. He's been lying to you just as much as you've been lying to me. Her hands drop to her lap, the folder slipping from her grip. She stares at the floor, her shoulders shaking. I didn't know, she says softly. I didn't know he was like this. I scoff, crossing my arms. Doesn't matter. You still made your choices. She looks up at me, her eyes red and puffy. I'm sorry, Tom, for everything. I was stupid and save it, I interrupt. I don't want your apologies. I want you out of this house by the end of the day. She flinches, but nods, her voice barely above a whisper. Okay. I turn to leave but pause at the door. Oh, and Jessica, I say, glancing back. If you ever try to drag Emma into this, I won't hold back. You've done enough damage. She doesn't respond, just buries her face in her hands. I walk away, the weight of finality settling over me. This chapter is closing, and for the first time in years, I feel a sense of freedom. By the time I return from work that evening, Jessica is gone. Her suitcase is missing from the bedroom, and there's a note on the kitchen table. I hesitate before picking it up, my chest tightening at the sight of her familiar handwriting. The note is brief. Tom, I'll respect your wishes and stay away for now. I'm staying with my sister. Please let me see Emma when she's ready. I'm sorry for everything. I crumple the note and toss it into the trash. Sorry doesn't erase a year of betrayal. Sorry doesn't repair the damage she's done to me, to Emma, or to our family. It's just another empty word from someone who's already taken too much. Emma comes home shortly after, her backpack slung over one shoulder. Is she gone? She asks, her voice steady but her eyes searching mine for confirmation. She's gone, I reply. Staying with her sister for now. Emma nods, her expression unreadable. Good. I don't press her for more. She's been remarkably strong through all of this, but I know the cracks are there. For now, I give her the space she needs, silently vowing to shield her from any further fallout. That night, I focus on the next phase. The legal separation is straightforward. I've drafted the necessary documents myself, and my associates are handling the rest. But the real challenge is ensuring that Jessica and Oliver face the consequences of their actions. The phone rings as I'm pouring myself a drink. It's Rick again. Tom, he says, his voice tinged with urgency. I've got more on Oliver. You're going to want to hear this. I sit down, the glass in my hand forgotten. What is it? Turns out Oliver's been visiting escorts. Regularly, Rick says. I've got receipts, dates, and even statements from the agency. I let out a low whistle. That's unexpected. Rick chuckles. Yeah, and it gets better. His wife's attorney already has this information. She's preparing to bury him in court. I lean back, a small smile playing on my lips. Good. Let her take him for everything. Exactly what I was thinking, Rick says. But what about Jessica? How do you want to handle her? The question hangs in the air for a moment. Jessica's actions have already cost her our marriage, but a part of me wants her to understand the full weight of what she's done, to feel the pain she so carelessly inflicted. I'll let her stew for now, I say finally. But if she tries to make this messy, she'll regret it. Rick laughs softly. That's the Tom I know. I'll keep you posted. I hang up and finish my drink, the fire inside me simmering down. For now, I've done all I can. The pieces are falling into place, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. The house is quiet as I head upstairs, but for the first time in days, the silence feels comforting rather than oppressive. I know the road ahead won't be easy, but I'm ready to face it head-on. The next morning, I wake with a sense of clarity I haven't felt in weeks. Jessica's departure has left the house quieter, emptier, but also strangely peaceful. Emma is downstairs already, eating breakfast and scrolling through her phone. Morning, I say, pouring myself a cup of coffee. Morning, she replies without looking up. Mom texted. She wants to know if I'm okay. I pause, the mug halfway to my lips. And? I didn't reply, Emma says simply, her tone neutral. I nod, sitting down across from her. If you ever want to talk to her, that's your choice. I won't stop you. Emma shrugs. I just don't want to deal with her right now. Fair enough, I say. Take your time. We sit in companionable silence, the unspoken bond between us growing stronger. Emma has always been mature for her age, but this ordeal is forcing her to grow up even faster. It's not fair, but I'm grateful for her resilience. Later, at the office, I dive into work. My associates have already drafted the separation agreement, and I review it carefully, making sure every detail is airtight. Jessica won't have any wiggle room to manipulate the terms. Midway through the day, my phone buzzes with a text from Rick. Need to meet. Got something you'll want to see. I text back immediately. Come by the office. Rick shows up an hour later, carrying a manila envelope. He drops it onto my desk and takes a seat, his expression serious. "What's this?" I ask, opening the envelope. "More dirt on Oliver," Rick says. "His wife is taking him to court, but there's something else you should know." I pull out the contents, more photos, bank statements, and emails. One email, in particular, catches my eye. It's from Oliver to Jessica, sent just days before her last trip. "Can't wait to see you again. Let's make it unforgettable." My jaw tightens as I read it. "Unbelievable," I mutter. "That's not the worst of it," Rick says, leaning forward. "Oliver's business isn't as squeaky clean as it looks. He's been underreporting income for years. The IRS is already sniffing around." I glance up, a slow smile spreading across my face. "That's interesting." Rick chuckles. "Thought you'd like that. If you want, I can tip them off with what I found. Could make things complicated for him." I consider it for a moment. Oliver has already ruined his marriage and put his family in jeopardy. Adding the IRS to his list of problems feels like poetic justice. "Do it," I say, "but keep my name out of it." Rick nods. "Done. Anything else you want me to dig up?" "Not for now," I reply. "Let's see how this plays out." After Rick leaves, I sit back in my chair, the weight of the situation finally beginning to lift. For the first time in days, I feel like I'm regaining control. Jessica and Oliver thought they could get away with this, but they underestimated me. That evening, I pick up dinner on the way home, a small celebration for Emma and me. She's surprised but grateful, and for a while, we laugh and talk like nothing has changed. It's a brief respite, but one I desperately need. As I clean up the kitchen later, my phone buzzes again. This time, it's Jessica. I stare at the screen, debating whether to answer. Finally, I swipe to decline the call and turn the phone off. She's not part of my world anymore, and it's time I started living like it. The following morning, my office phone rings just as I'm wrapping up a client call. My assistant patches it through, her voice uncertain. "It's Jessica," she says quietly. I grit my teeth but motion for the call to be connected. "Jessica," I say flatly. "What do you need?" Her voice is strained, teetering on desperation. "Tom, we need to talk. Please, can we meet somewhere? Just the two of us?" I glance at the pile of work on my desk, feeling the anger simmering just below the surface. "There's nothing to talk about," I reply. "The papers are being filed. This is happening, whether you like it or not." "Tom, please," she pleads. "I made a mistake. I know I hurt you, but you destroyed our marriage, Jessica." I cut her off, my voice cold. "This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice, a year of choices you made without a second thought about me or Emma." Her voice cracks. "I wasn't thinking clearly. I didn't mean for this to happen." "Save it," I snap. "If you wanted to fix things, you should have thought about that before sneaking around with Oliver." There's a long silence on the other end of the line before she finally speaks. "I'll do whatever it takes to make this right." "You can't make this right," I reply firmly. "We're done." I hang up, my hands shaking with the adrenaline coursing through me. Part of me wants to feel triumphant, but instead, I just feel drained. The satisfaction of cutting her off is fleeting, overshadowed by the weight of everything left to handle. That evening, Rick calls with another update. "Tom, you're not going to believe this," he says, sounding almost amused. "What now?" I ask, bracing myself. "Oliver's wife just filed for divorce," Rick explains. "She's citing infidelity and emotional abuse. She's taking the house, the kids, and most of his assets. He's going to be left with next to nothing." The news is satisfying, but I'm not ready to celebrate. "And the IRS? They've started their investigation," Rick confirms. "It's only a matter of time before they hit him with penalties. He's sinking fast." I nod, a grim smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. "Good. Let him feel what it's like to lose everything." Rick chuckles. "You're ruthless, Tom." I like it. After hanging up, I sit in the quiet of my office, letting the pieces fall into place. Oliver's life is unraveling. Jessica is out of the house, and Emma is firmly on my side. The battle isn't over, but the tides are turning. At home, Emma greets me with a hug, a small but welcome comfort after the day's events. She doesn't ask about Jessica, and I don't volunteer any updates. Instead, we spend the evening watching a movie, laughing at the absurd plot twists. For a few hours, it feels like things are almost normal again. As the credits roll, Emma looks over at me. "Dad," she says softly, "we're going to be okay, right?" I nod, pulling her into a side hug. "Yeah, sweetheart, we're going to be just fine." And for the first time in what feels like forever, I believe it. Monday morning, I'm at the courthouse before dawn. The divorce papers are filed, the process officially underway. The clerk gives me a knowing look as I hand over the documents, and I can't help but wonder how many other lives have unraveled at this very desk. On my way to the office, my phone buzzes with another call. This time, it's Oliver. I let it ring twice, debating whether to answer. Curiosity wins out, and I swipe to accept. "Tom." His voice is smug, oozing with arrogance. "I think we need to talk." I grip the steering wheel tighter, the sound of his voice igniting a fresh wave of anger. "There's nothing to discuss," I reply coldly. "You've already done enough damage." Now, Oliver says, chuckling. "No need to make this messy. I think we can handle things like gentlemen." I laugh bitterly. "Gentlemen? You've got some nerve. You went after my wife, lied to yours, and now you want to act civilized." "Look," he says, his tone shifting. "I'm willing to settle this quietly. No need to drag everything out in court. Let's come to an agreement." I pull over, my hands trembling with barely controlled fury. "An agreement? You've got nothing to bargain with, Oliver. I've already filed for alienation of affection. Your wife's leaving you, your finances are in shambles, and the IRS is breathing down your neck. What could you possibly offer me?" There's a long pause before he speaks again, this time with less bravado. "I'm just trying to save what's left of my life." "Then you should have thought of that before you destroyed mine," I snap, ending the call. I sit in the car for a few moments, letting the anger course through me before starting the engine. The conversation confirms what I already knew. Oliver is unraveling. And as much as I want to focus on my own healing, I can't deny the satisfaction of watching him squirm. At the office, my associates present me with updates on the financial aspects of the separation. Jessica hasn't responded to the initial filing, which doesn't surprise me. She's likely still reeling from our last conversation and the realization that Oliver won't be her savior. The day passes in a blur of meetings and paperwork, the familiar rhythm of work keeping me grounded. By the time I get home, Emma is already in her room, her laughter echoing softly as she FaceTimes a friend. I pause outside her door, smiling at the sound. She deserves moments like this, untouched by the chaos Jessica and Oliver have caused. In the kitchen, I find a letter waiting for me. It's from Jessica, the envelope marked with her neat, deliberate handwriting. For a moment, I consider tossing it straight into the trash. But curiosity gets the better of me, and I tear it open. The letter is an apology, rambling, emotional, and filled with promises to change. She begs for another chance, claiming she's realized how much she loves me and regrets everything. I fold the letter neatly and place it back on the counter. Her words mean nothing now. She had her chances, and she squandered them. My focus is on Emma and rebuilding our lives, free from the shadow of her betrayal. As I head upstairs to bed, a sense of finality washes over me. Jessica and Oliver thought they could manipulate me, but they underestimated my resolve. The path ahead is still uncertain, but one thing is clear. I'm taking control of my future, one step at a time. Tuesday morning, my phone buzzes with a call from an unknown number. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something compels me to answer. "This is Tom," I say briskly. "Mr. Richards, this is Lisa Grant," a woman's voice says. It's calm but carries an edge, the kind of tone honed by betrayal and determination. "I'm Oliver's wife." I sit up straighter, the surprise clear in my voice. "Mrs. Grant, I didn't expect to hear from you." "I imagine not," she replies dryly. "But I think we have a mutual interest in holding our spouses accountable." I chuckle bitterly. "That we do. What can I do for you?" "I know about your alienation of affection suit," she says. I also know Oliver is trying to weasel out of his responsibilities. He's spinning lies about our marriage to anyone who will listen. Sounds about right, I reply. He tried calling me yesterday, pretending to negotiate. Lisa sighs. Typical. Look, I want to make sure he doesn't get away with this. I'm willing to share evidence, texts, photos, receipts, whatever you need for your case. Her offer catches me off guard, but I quickly recover. That's generous. And what do you want in return? Just one thing, she says firmly. If there's a chance to expose him publicly, I want to be part of it. People like Oliver thrive in the shadows, and I want to drag him into the light. Her resolve mirrors my own, and I can't help but admire her determination. Deal, I say. Let's coordinate through my investigator. He'll handle the logistics. Thank you, Mr. Richards, Lisa says, her tone softening. For the first time in weeks, I feel like I'm not fighting this alone. You're not, I reply. And please, call me Tom. We hang up, and I immediately call Rick to loop him in. Lisa's on our side, I explain. She's offering evidence, and she wants to make sure Oliver faces public fallout. Rick chuckles. This keeps getting better. I'll set up a meeting. Later that day, I find myself reflecting on Lisa's words. Her strength is remarkable, and her willingness to fight for justice is a sharp contrast to Jessica's attempts to manipulate and evade responsibility. For the first time in a long time, I feel a glimmer of hope, not just for winning this battle but for finding closure. That evening, Emma surprises me by joining me for dinner without her usual barrage of homework or friends. How was your day? She asks, poking at her salad. Productive, I say with a small smile. What about yours? Good, she replies, then hesitates. I've been thinking when everything's over with Mom, maybe we could go somewhere. Just the two of us. The suggestion catches me off guard, but I nod. I'd like that. Anywhere in mind? Not really, she says, her eyes brightening. Just somewhere quiet. Somewhere we can breathe. I reach across the table and squeeze her hand. We'll make it happen, sweetheart. The moment is simple, but it's a reminder of what I'm fighting for. This isn't just about punishing Jessica and Oliver. It's about creating a new life for Emma and me. One free from deceit and betrayal. As I clean up the kitchen later, I catch my reflection in the window. The man staring back at me looks older, wearier, but there's a spark in his eyes that wasn't there a week ago. I've survived the worst of this storm, and now it's time to rebuild. Wednesday morning begins with an early meeting with Rick and Lisa. We convene at a neutral coffee shop, tucked into a corner booth where prying eyes and ears won't bother us. Lisa arrives first, her composure impressive for someone caught in such turmoil. She offers a firm handshake, her eyes betraying the exhaustion of someone who's been carrying too much for too long. Rick slides into the booth moments later, placing a folder on the table. All right, team, he begins. Here's where we stand. He spreads out the documents, a mix of financial records, correspondence, and photos. Lisa leans in, her jaw tightening as she recognizes the evidence. This, Rick says, pointing to a financial ledger, is the nail in Oliver's coffin. He's been funneling money through side accounts, trying to hide assets from his wife. IRS flags all over it. Lisa nods, her expression hard. I can use this in my divorce proceedings. The court will tear him apart. And that's not all, Rick continues. He pulls out an enlarged photo of Oliver and Jessica at a hotel lobby. This was taken during their last rendezvous, public enough to be undeniable. I take a deep breath, the weight of the evidence sinking in. This is everything we need, I say. Lisa, are you comfortable with this going public? It could get ugly. She meets my gaze, her voice steady. I want it all out there. Let him face the consequences. Rick grins. That settles it. I'll leak this to a few key outlets, nothing salacious, just enough to get the truth out. As we wrap up the meeting, Lisa places a hand on my arm. Thank you, Tom, she says, for not backing down, for helping me find a way forward. I nod, feeling a sense of camaraderie with her. We're in this together. The rest of the day passes quickly, my focus sharpened by the progress we've made. By evening, the first articles begin to circulate. Local news outlets pick up the story of Oliver's affair and financial misconduct, framing it as a cautionary tale of greed and betrayal. My phone buzzes nonstop with texts and calls, but I ignore them all, letting the storm brew. That night, Jessica calls. I hesitate before answering, my resolve firm. "Jessica," I say, my tone devoid of warmth. "What do you want?" Her voice is panicked. "Tom, what have you done? Everyone's talking about Oliver. His wife is filing for divorce. His business is under investigation. Did you do this?" I smirk, though she can't see it. "I didn't need to do anything, Jessica. Oliver did this to himself." She stammers, searching for a response. "But why? Why would you push this so far?" "Because he deserves it," I reply coldly. "And so do you. You both thought you could play your games without consequences. Now you're learning the hard way." Jessica's voice softens, a desperate edge creeping in. "Tom, please, let's stop this. Let's fix things. I don't want this to get worse." "It's too late for that," I say, my tone final. "This is the path you chose. Now, you have to walk it." I hang up, the sound of her pleading still echoing in my ears. For a moment, guilt tugs at me, but I push it aside. Jessica and Oliver made their choices, and I won't let their selfishness destroy what's left of my life. As I head to bed, Emma pokes her head out of her room. "You okay, Dad?" she asks. I nod, forcing a smile. "Yeah, sweetheart. Just a long day." She smiles back, and for the first time, I feel a glimmer of peace. The pieces are falling into place, and the future is starting to look brighter. By Thursday, the fallout from the leaked story is in full swing. Oliver's name is plastered across local news outlets, accompanied by words like infidelity and financial scandal. His life is unraveling exactly as planned, but the collateral damage to Jessica is just as apparent. That morning, Jessica shows up unannounced at my office. My assistant hesitates at the door, clearly uncomfortable. "She's here," she whispers. "Should I send her away?" I sigh, pinching the bridge of my nose. "No, let her in." Jessica enters, her posture tense and her face pale. She looks nothing like the confident, sharp-tongued woman I once knew. Closing the door behind her, she stands awkwardly, as if unsure where to begin. "Tom," she starts, her voice shaking. "I need to talk to you." I gesture for her to sit, keeping my expression neutral. "What is it?" She sits down, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. "This has gone too far. Oliver is losing everything. His business, his family. And now people are starting to talk about me." I raise an eyebrow. "Starting to?" "Jessica, people have been talking since the day you decided to betray your family." Her eyes flash with a mix of anger and desperation. "I didn't mean for it to go this way. I thought it was just a fling, a mistake I could fix. But now it's all falling apart." I lean forward, my voice cold. "You thought you could have your fun and come back to your safe life, didn't you? That I'd just forgive and forget?" She flinches, her composure cracking. "I made a mistake, Tom. I know that. But this revenge? It's cruel." "Cruel?" I echo, laughing bitterly. "You want to talk about cruel? Let me tell you what's cruel, Jessica. Living in a loveless marriage while you sneaked off to meet another man. Watching our daughter suffer because you couldn't control yourself. That's cruel." Tears spill down her cheeks, but I feel nothing. She wipes them away hastily, her voice trembling. "What do you want from me? Do you want me to beg? To apologize 1,000 times? I'll do it, Tom. I'll do whatever it takes." I shake my head, my tone final. "What I want is simple. I want you out of my life. The divorce is moving forward, and I'm done playing games. If you care about Emma at all, you'll leave us in peace." Jessica stares at me, her eyes wide and glistening. For a moment, she looks like she might argue, but then she nods slowly. "Fine," she whispers, "if that's what you want." "It's not what I want, Jessica," I say, standing up. "It's what you left me with." She gets up and leaves without another word, the door clicking softly behind her. I exhale deeply, the confrontation leaving me drained but resolute. There's no turning back now. That evening, I tell Emma about the encounter. She listens quietly, her face thoughtful. "She's still trying to fix it, isn't she?" she asks. Yeah, I reply. But it's too late for that. Emma nods, her gaze steady. Good. I think we deserve better. Her words hit me harder than I expect, but they solidify my resolve. Emma's right. We do deserve better. And for the first time, I feel like we're on the path to finding it. Friday morning arrives with a knock on my office door. Rick walks in, a triumphant grin on his face. He sets a file on my desk and leans back in the chair across from me, arms crossed. What's the good news? I ask, closing the report I'd been working on. Oliver's done, Rick replies, his tone smug. The IRS has launched a full-blown audit, and his wife's attorney is going for the jugular. He's barely holding on. Word is, his business partners are already looking to cut ties. I smirk, satisfaction blooming in my chest. Serves him right. There's more, Rick continues, his grin widening. I've got confirmation on some of the dirt Lisa handed over. Turns out, Oliver wasn't just cheating on Jessica with his wife. He's been involved with 2 other women, both escorts. Unbelievable, I mutter, shaking my head. He's the gift that keeps on giving. Rick chuckles. The guy's a walking disaster. And Jessica? She's caught in the fallout. People are starting to connect the dots. It's only a matter of time before the whispers become headlines. The news is satisfying but bittersweet. Jessica's betrayal still stings, but knowing she and Oliver are facing the consequences of their actions eases some of the pain. Good work, Rick, I say, shaking his hand. Let's keep the pressure on. That afternoon, I receive an unexpected call from Lisa. Her tone is lighter, almost relieved. Tom, I just wanted to thank you, she says, for everything. For standing up to Oliver, for not backing down. I feel like I can finally breathe again. Same here, I reply honestly. It's been a long time coming. I'd like to meet for coffee, she suggests, if you're up for it. Her offer catches me off guard, but I agree. We meet later that evening at a quiet cafe, and for the first time, we talk about something other than the chaos Oliver and Jessica have caused. Lisa is warm, intelligent, and refreshingly honest. She talks about her kids, her plans for the future, and the lessons she's learned through all of this. By the end of the evening, I find myself genuinely smiling, something I haven't done in weeks. As we part ways, she places a hand on my arm. You're a good man, Tom, she says. Don't let this mess make you forget that. Her words linger with me as I drive home, the weight of the past few weeks feeling lighter. For the first time, I feel like the storm is truly passing. When I get home, Emma is waiting for me in the living room, a curious look on her face. How was your meeting? She asks. It was nice, I reply, settling into the chair across from her. She raises an eyebrow but doesn't push. I'm glad. As the evening winds down, I sit by the fireplace, reflecting on everything that's happened. Jessica and Oliver have both been exposed for who they truly are. Emma and I are finding our footing again. And maybe, just maybe, there's room for something new on the horizon. The next week feels like a turning point. The paperwork for the divorce is finalized, and Jessica reluctantly signs without protest. She knows there's no use fighting, not with the mountain of evidence and Emma's unwavering decision to stay with me. For the first time in weeks, my life feels like it's regaining some semblance of order. Emma and I settle into a new routine. The house, once a source of tension and secrets, now feels peaceful. She even starts redecorating her room, painting the walls a light blue and stringing up fairy lights. Watching her find joy in these small things is a balm to my weary heart. One evening, as we sit down for dinner, Emma surprises me with a question. Do you think you'll ever start dating again, Dad? I nearly choke on my drink. That's unexpected. She shrugs, a mischievous smile on her face. You seem happier lately. I just thought maybe what? I ask, amused. Maybe it's time you start thinking about yourself for once, she says, her tone more serious now. You've been through a lot. You deserve to be happy too. Her words stick with me long after she's gone to bed. For so long, my focus has been on protecting her and navigating the wreckage Jessica left behind. The idea of moving on, of finding happiness again, feels foreign, but not impossible. A few days later, I get a call from Lisa. Tom, she begins, her voice warm. I wanted to thank you again for everything. I'm finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Glad to hear that, I reply. You've earned it. I was wondering, she hesitates, then presses on. Would you like to grab dinner sometime? No pressure, just as friends. Her invitation takes me by surprise, but I find myself smiling. I'd like that. We meet at a small Italian restaurant later that week, and the evening feels effortless. Lisa is charming and easy to talk to, her laughter infectious. We share stories about our lives before everything went off the rails, finding humor in the chaos we've endured. By the time the check arrives, I realize how much I've missed this simple, genuine connection. As we part ways, Lisa leans in and hugs me, her warmth lingering long after she's gone. At home, Emma is waiting up for me again, her curiosity barely contained. How was dinner? She asks, trying to sound casual. It was nice, I admit, sitting beside her on the couch. She grins. See? I told you it was time. I laugh, shaking my head. You're incorrigible. But as I head to bed, I can't help but feel a sense of hope. The pain of Jessica's betrayal is still there, but it's no longer a weight I carry alone. The future feels open, full of possibilities I hadn't dared to consider before. The battle is over, and though the scars remain, I'm finally ready to move forward. For Emma, for myself, and for whatever comes next. The finalization of the divorce brings a strange sense of closure. Jessica moves into a small apartment near her sister's house, and her contact with Emma remains minimal, at Emma's discretion. The last time they spoke, Emma stood her ground, calmly telling her mother that trust isn't something easily repaired. It was hard to hear, but I was proud of her strength. Meanwhile, Oliver's life continues to crumble. The IRS investigation has led to frozen accounts, and Lisa has taken him for everything he's worth in the divorce. The last I heard, he'd been forced to sell his business to cover debts. It's poetic justice, but I find myself thinking less about him and more about the life Emma and I are rebuilding. Lisa and I have kept in touch, our dinners becoming a regular occurrence. There's no rush, no pressure, just an understanding that we're two people trying to heal and find joy in the aftermath of betrayal. Emma teases me about it relentlessly, but I can tell she's happy to see me smiling again. One evening, as we sit on the back porch watching the sunset, Emma turns to me, her expression thoughtful. Do you regret it? She asks suddenly. Regret what? I reply, sipping my coffee. Everything. Letting Mom go. Fighting back. I pause, considering her question carefully. No, I say finally. I regret that it came to this, that she made the choices she did. But letting her go? Standing up for myself and for you? No, I don't regret that for a second. Emma nods, seeming to take comfort in my words. I think we're better off, she says softly. We are, I agree. And it's only going to get better from here. The weeks that follow are filled with small but meaningful steps forward. Emma excels in school, her confidence growing with each passing day. I find myself reconnecting with old friends, rediscovering parts of myself that I had buried under years of stress and unhappiness. Lisa becomes a steady presence in my life, her friendship a source of comfort and stability. One evening, as we walk along a quiet park trail, she takes my hand, and for the first time, I feel like the weight of the past is truly lifting. At home, I begin making changes. Jessica's presence has been scrubbed from the house, her belongings replaced with pieces Emma and I choose together. We repaint the walls, rearrange furniture, and create a space that feels entirely ours. It's cathartic, a physical representation of the fresh start we're both embracing. One day, as I hang the final picture in the living room, a photo of Emma and me laughing at the beach, she walks in and surveys the room. It feels different, she says, her smile radiant. It is different, I reply, putting the hammer down. It's ours now. She nods, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Thanks for fighting for us, Dad. I pull her into a hug, my chest tightening with emotion. Always, I whisper. You and me, kiddo. Always. The journey has been long and painful, but as I sit on the couch that evening, watching Emma laugh at one of her favorite shows, I feel a sense of peace I hadn't thought possible. Betrayal tore our family apart, but it also revealed our resilience, our strength, and our ability to rebuild. For the first time in a long time, the future feels bright. And for that, I'm grateful. What would you do if you were in this situation? Have you ever faced betrayal and had to rebuild your life from scratch? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Don't forget to like this story, subscribe for more gripping tales, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your story could inspire someone else to find their strength.